and then they just basically was like, you know what? Never mind, because they
Yeah,
don't like you, quote
yeah,
unquote.
cool.
And
They
and
save me
and,
some
and you just
energy and
run with it.
time. It's part of the game. You meet
I don't
some
play
woman.
games. That's the part. That's the portion that I get twisted up in because I don't
No,
like playing
Sean.
games.
Sean, here's the deal. You
Hmm.
can't meet a woman and she gives you a number, and now there's a court contract making her obligated to answer the phone when you call her. That's not how this works.
I
Now
that
she's obligated because you spent the rent. No.
we're
And if you're
beyond that
chasing her
point.
down, you're wasting your. That means this dude. Just no. No.
Scam. That's not holding. Like I said, the reason why I called it pandering because you're not holding her accountable for her actions, but you want to
Well, you
hold her
won't let me
accountable.
finish. But I
I'm
told
sorry.
you,
Go ahead.
she probably. No, I told you. She probably dusted. But here's the deal. The men say they want to be these leader alpha, all this other junk, and they really don't. If he wants to be this dude, one, you can invite her to the coffee, the park, wherever. You initiated the date. You said, I wanted to go here. Your energy should be on point to the point where she at least wants to show up. But then he proved it on the back end that his energy was trash. He proved it. And his money probably garbage. He dusted. He dusted in the front and he dusted in the end. She might have been dusty.
See,
Cool.
my
But
issue
my
with
point, hold on, let me finish. What kind of dude goes and meets a woman, and then when he can't get what he wants to go and keep crying, complaining, accountable. You got to do this. You're supposed to do. Delete the number and move the hell on. But
agreed.
no, he wants to take her to court. All these women. Who does that?
uh,
These are the same dudes I roast on the dust panels every day. I roast
and
men
here's
and I dust off women's, both sides. Just
okay, but
crush
here's
them
my
both.
point. My point to you, Scam, and this is what I'm directly speaking to. I get everything you're saying, but you always have this might have been and probably instead of saying she was dusty and that was that. You don't want to give her, you don't want to hold her accountable. You want to say, oh, she
You're
might have
proving
been,
my
she
point.
probably, and that is the pandering part.
You're proving my point. Everything, no matter what it is, the accident that happened in Philadelphia, the interstate, we got to go find some single moms and blame everything on them. Find the women's, it's the women's, everything.
But
And then the men talk about
Scam,
they
you're
want to be leaders.
generalizing. Here's where we have an issue or a disagreement.
It's the
A lot of
women.
people like to generalize when we're being specific and like to be specific when we're generalizing. We're specifically talking about what she did in this text and not talking about women and modern women. We're talking about her.
I
She
was talking about
is
her.
not probably, she is dusty. And you're not able to say that it's my problem with you in this scenario.
I said she probably dusted. But if
No,
she's
probably.
dusted,
You
we
still
can
putting
take
the
it.
probably in there. She is dusty, like you claim he is.
To
You
be
you didn't say
honest,
he probably dusty. You said
I
he
bet
is
you,
dusty.
I can meet that woman and get a different response that that dude did.
I and
I
she
bet
might be
you I
right
would.
for you. I bet you I wouldn't be interested in making that woman trying to understand whether she ain't dusty.
Y'all are messy.
Hey Corey, how are you?
What's up?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
All right.
Good. Thanks for joining us. Hank, how are you this evening?
And I am good. I'm good, Real Princess. How y'all doing? How y'all doing today?
We're
We're
good.
doing
We're
good,
good.
doing good.
Just getting
So
it wrapped up.
What's going
so
on, brother
Corey,
King?
oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Introductions.
And then I have a question for Hank after he replies. But go ahead.
Okay, so Corey, you said they're being messy. What do you mean by that?
Well, I know they're both younger than I am, or they sure talk like it. But I would waste $1,000 to avoid a woman like that. Because if she slept through our date, I would gladly give up $1,000 to never meet her again. My
She
peace is
didn't want to go.
priceless. My peace is priceless.
Yeah.
I mean, if it costs $1,000 to retain my peace, bye. Gladly.
So you're saying that you wouldn't have brought up the $70. You would have just paid it and just went on to the next.
I wouldn't have went on to the next. I'm real picky.
Well,
Hey, so
you would have moved on from her.
I wouldn't have
Oh,
reached out to her at
absolutely.
all.
I wouldn't even have reached out to her if she would have missed it. Well, I might have said, "Hey, what happened?" And when I got the excuse, okay, cool. That would have been it.
I wouldn't have reached out.
Right.
She should reach out to me and apologize with some
I,
kind of story backing it up. If she doesn't, I just won't talk to her no more. Cut the
Well,
loss.
and
the
Move on.
fact that she didn't reach out, she's not even being mature, so don't
Yeah,
expect her to act mature.
But I'm gonna go back and
I mean,
forth on.
honestly,
I agree. I agree with that method as well. I
I'd
probably would
probably
have
go
done that
spend
myself.
another $1,000 and go do something I would enjoy. But
Yeah, I
it
agree
couldn't
with
be
both of
with a
those
person
methods.
like that. Obvious. I mean, if you can sleep through something you planned, I mean, she planned to go on a date with this guy. She slept through it. No phone call, no nothing. No, hey, I can't make it. No nothing. I mean, come on. Was this a child?
That,
I think it's a combination of what you both are with what everyone is saying. I
Hmm.
think it's a combination of her. I mean, she did say that she was sleep deprived. However, if you like somebody, you will make time for them. Like you'll make time
Hmm.
for them, whether you're sleep deprived, whether you're tired, whatever the case may be. Um, but I think a lot of times as men and women, we feel entitled to an answer from somebody, right? So he sent he sent the, hey, I'm just letting you know that it was $70 to cancel. But it's like, if you know that you're dodging a bullet, why would you go ahead and text that to this woman knowing that you're probably going to get some type of pushback, disrespect, dismissiveness? You know that you're probably going to get that just from her sleeping through it without saying, "Hey, I apologize. I'm sorry. I was really tired. I thought I had, communicated this with you." Um, Without getting that, then you're going to get some type of pushback. So my thing is, she really didn't like him, and he should have just left it at what it was and
Hmm.
just took a L.
Well, I mean, honestly, something could have happened. I mean, I will, as an adult, give her a chance to explain it. If it comes back lame, let's just, I'll just count it up to that's the person she is. Because
Because she
life does
said, "I don't
happen.
sweat the small things," and it's like, you don't necessarily know what, well, for one, if you're broke, I don't think you should be dating, but you don't necessarily know what
Yep.
his financial situation is. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So you're saying that it's she's chalking it up to, well, I don't sweat the small stuff, but who knows if that was small to him?
Exactly. Or I mean, Precious, it's even more than that because what you're hearing often on these dating streets is, guys don't do like there's not enough effort. There's not enough effort into dating and things like that. So here this guy putting in effort at a
Right.
Michelin restaurant, right?
Hmm.
And it's not known in this mixed messages if it was communicated that, oh, I only do 5 star, I only do Michelin, or if that's what this guy normally does for a first date, which is stupid to me, by the way. Even if you got it, I don't think that a Michelin, and this is just me, is a legitimate first date type dinner that you should be taking somebody to. Because look, for me, hey, let's go to the Cracker Barrel or the Waffle House and get to know each other. If
I
we
agree.
can vibe
It's
like
like
that,
food is food.
you know what I'm saying? Like food is food. Yeah. Are you trying to impress somebody with that 5 star experience on a first date like that? I've never understood that.
Mhm.
and,
Yeah.
and I mean, to it really depends on your intention. Is I guess what it boils down to. Let's just say this man was genuinely looking for a wife, and so he offered to take her out, and he recommended that she pick the place, and she picked this place, and he was going forward genuinely with attempting to do that. Now she bailed out on her, or she reneged on him. So he's still genuinely interested in her being a wife. So he's not he's now he's the reason, like I said, principle, he's putting it out there to find out where her head is. All right, yo, it costs $70. Maybe she didn't know, maybe she did know, she always been there, but it will immediately give him the type of attitude through her response that she has. And this way he don't have to assume, because we can assume a lot of stuff, and that assumption is really what leads us to a lot of failed relationships or a lot of loneliness and being by ourselves, because we're assuming. So he just said, "Yo," he put it out there, and she responded in the way that she did, and he was like, "Okay." Now he's playing with her. Now it seemed like he was playing with her because to all y'all points, he should have just left it alone prior to putting it out there. But let's just say he put it out there, and now she's responding, "Oh, you a petty, da 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 da," and now he's like, "Oh, I'm petty. It's a small thing to you. All right, if it's so small, now I'm going. All right, you go ahead and hit send me my money there. Oh, now it's not
Run me
small.
my
Yeah,
coins.
His mistake was doing the back and
cracking up
forth
in
with
the
her,
chat.
though.
yeah.
As
I
soon
got
as he
more
started
dust,
doing the
but
back and forth with her, it was over.
I got more dust, but y'all go ahead. I'll mute.
Well, I guess I'm lost. I'm lost to the conversation. I apologize because I
No,
mean
come on, Hank.
I can't comment because was there a video or something?
It was a mix. We were reading messages back and forth.
Oh,
So
okay.
you may have missed when I had those slides up, but pretty much a guy and a girl, a girl sleeps through the reservation that her and a guy had planned at a Michelin star restaurant, and he's saying to her, just wanted to let you know it was $70 to cancel that date, and she's pretty much just blowing him off like, are you serious? Like, are you really reaching out to me about that? I don't sweat the small stuff. And he's like, well, if you don't sweat the small stuff, then send me the $70. And she's pretty much like, no, life is not fair, just giving him the rundown of why she's not going to do it and why
So,
they're not going to be together.
so she pretty much said you need to just get over it.
And she
Yep.
did, like, my
Yep,
thing is,
get over it.
my thing is,
Yeah.
though, there is a way to say things to people, especially to men. Like when you say to a man that he bitch made and he has small dick energy, I mean, like Sean was saying, even if he was trying to see where her head was, after she done slept through this day, he probably didn't hear from her. He reaching out like, just to let you know, it was something. Even if that was the case, I would agree in saying that her response back to him is just what man would want to deal with a woman that when there's a disagreement or y'all are not seeing eye to eye or whatever the case may be, that's going to respond like that. If that's the way that you're responding in a situation like this, God knows how you're going to respond if they were together in a relationship, because it doesn't seem like they were in a relationship. It just seemed like they were maybe just going on a date and getting to know each other. But that is enough to get to know of a woman if she's responding back to you like that. So in that instance, I do agree with Sean. It's like, no, she don't necessarily have to like the man, or she don't necessarily have to like him as much as he may like her. But at the same time, there is something called respect and decorum. And there is a way to speak to a man where it's just like, oh, I'm not interested, or, why she didn't apologize, I don't know. But that makes a man say, well, why are you so defensive? Why do you seem so entitled? Why are you disrespecting me like this?
So was that her first time? Was that their first date? Is that what that was? Hopefully like that.
Not sure if it was their first date. However, it does
Sounded
seem
like a
very
first date.
early in the dating.
He probably should have took her ass to the damn coffee shop. See what she's dealing with right off bat. I mean, that's gonna, if she's late there, yeah, she's more likely she's gonna be late to that 5-star Michelin restaurant, and that's gonna be a problem for me. Fred, I don't know if he's on that show today, but I'm not. There is no grace. My time is too valuable. Unless you call me and you have a legitimate reason why you're late, yeah, I'm gone. I'm leaving you right then. I mean, we're done. I'm not gonna call you back. I don't care how pretty she is, how sexy she is, or whatever you think. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not gonna go because she doesn't respect your time at all. Tell her what else you're gonna have to come behind that. She feel like, well, I'm pretty, so you gonna do whatever I say. I'll be damned.
Hey, Sean, I wanted to add something I did miss. She did dust. I'll correct it. She dusted because she could at least send a text and said, I'm not coming. I'll admit that part. So she is dusty.
Okay, what was your question for me, bro?
No question. You actually cleared up and said actually what I was expecting.
Oh, okay.
And the funny thing is, we also got to say, he blocked her as she was trying to still engage. She was like, I'm good.
One.
Man, don't sound like your internet want to engage, huh?
Right.
Now, my point was just this: she ain't interested. She's not. So the point that you notice she's not interested, move on. But
Just
what do you want her to
move
meet her
on.
anyway? You want to follow her to the parking lot? You want to keep texting and getting? No, she ain't interested. Be done.
Mhm.
But it's the what about the women's thing? Oh, I want my $70. I
agree with
want
you.
this. I want
Yeah,
pouting. Just no.
I agree with you. Sometimes our petty egos allow us to want to engage and play around with it.
No.
Or I've
That
also
is
seen
very
people
feminine.
get
Just being
wrapped up
honest.
in curiosity, just being curious as to, well, I need an answer. Look, really, the base level is this: if she's interested, she's going to engage. If she's not,
Mhm.
you really don't need to know why. It really doesn't matter. If she's
Now, I
not
remember
interested, move
I
on.
got greased real bad in college once. And I ain't know nothing about no dating in college. Met this chick at a party. And it was actually, I went and met her uh, at a dorm, whatever, chill, talk to, whatever. Then went to, hung out for a little bit, whatever. Next time I go to see her, just like, we went to two different schools. I'm going to pick you up. She said she got some friends to go to my school. So I'm going to pick you up. You can come hang out with me. Cool. Dumb old me didn't even pay attention. I go to pick her up. She got a roommate with her too. Oh yeah, she's coming too. She wants to meet, see, and had a bag with her. Dumb old me ain't even pay attention. Oh, a bag. Maybe it's snacks in there. Sure enough, I brought them back to my dorm. Just like, look, we're gonna go over there to this dorm. We're gonna say what's up to our people, and I'm gonna call you when we come back. Of course, they ain't never call. And man, I was mad. And the next day I was thinking, I hope they call. And I was that petty dude. I'm gonna tell them I'm gonna take them to breakfast. I'm gonna drive them way out to Virginia Beach somewhere.
Oh my God.
I was plotting. I was so mad I was gonna take them somewhere far. And not only was I gonna leave them, but in the middle of where we was going, I was gonna take off running so they can see my feet running and see the car pull off. I was hot. When I called a couple of my friends, they started cracking jokes. I just let it. It was what it was. But I dusted. I just take responsibility. I won't paying attention. She wasn't interested. Take the L, move on. I mean, next week it's another college party. I'm some other chicks. Let it be. It's funny now, but it wasn't funny that day.
That's funny. Yeah.
So you was out there trying to save hoes, and they was just using
No,
abusing.
not stable. I didn't have no awareness.
Yeah.
Man.
I wasn't paying attention.
And the reason why I bring it to why I'm so passionate about addressing it is because that cycle continues. And if nobody addresses it, like he addressed it, and basically whether she received it or not, that's on her. But he addressed it and he blocked her and he like, yo, you want some real nonsense. And she think that it's okay because this is what society allows us. It's okay to treat a guy like that. And it's okay because you get no consequences from it. All you could do is call him small dick energy and blah, 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 blah. And you go ahead and move on to the next person. And you have that same attitude. And that attitude is why us single men, we got to deal with that attitude. And basically, when we identify it, we got to walk away because here it is, somebody who's beautiful, who got all of the what we think is appealing, and then we find out that their character and their mental is just not there yet, and they're not willing to grow it, or they don't even have the ability to recognize that it needs growth.
Sean, we can't grab these people, meet modern woman in the parking lot, and she acts a fool, grab her and beat her into being a wife. The answer is no.
I agree.
Hey, Precious, I've been looking at them glasses. I'm marriage minded, and I have a job, and I'm a bus driver.
Cold shower scam.
She can look at me and say, no. And I can't say, but I got a job, but I'm black. No. She's not obligated to be, no.
The first sign should have
Yeah.
been, in all honesty, and I put this on the man. The first sign should have been the type of restaurant she picked, possibly. But
Well,
as
we don't
soon
know
as
who
she
picked the
picked it,
restaurant.
huh?
We don't know who picked the restaurant. He
No,
could have
no.
picked
At
the
the
restaurant.
end, she said something that led me to believe she picked it.
You know, I think you're right.
That's she had because she was
She
talking to her friend.
she said, I'm sure you have a long line of girls dying to eat at the restaurant I suggested. So
There
you're
you
right.
go. Yeah. And so she been doing this for some time. And this is why I sit there and I'm like, let's call it what it is, because we see what it is and we all often ignore it. And that's part of the issue that I have with anybody who wants to ignore that and not hold anybody's feet to the fire on that type of mentality.
Yeah, but Sean, those people don't care. So you bringing up the fact that, hey, you're not being accountable in respecting my time, she's not going to give a shit. It is a waste of your breath to try to bring that up to her because she's not going to care.
You're absolutely right. She ain't gonna care from us because we don't know her. But I bet you if we somehow got it into one of her girlfriends who she look up to, and her girlfriend say, "Yo, you was on some bullshit. You need to stop that." It'll resonate differently. But her girlfriend won't know either if nobody brings it to their attention. Everybody just sitting there ignoring, like, "Oh, that's okay. It's just L we got to take as men." And I get that, but nah, we need to address some of this nonsense so that we can at least help out our dating
You know,
community, so to speak.
any
Well,
guy that's
what a
had a lot
problem
of
is he
interactions.
allow that woman to choose a restaurant. Why is he allowing that woman to choose where they're going to eat?
Exactly.
If I'm paying for it, you're not choosing anything. Now, what you can choose is what you want to eat. You tell me what you want to eat, and I'm gonna decide the restaurant we're gonna go to.
You're talking to
It's your
Precious, and
entree.
Precious is throwing out hints, and she's suggesting, well, you know, that Michelin restaurant that opened up down the street would
Hank
be,
is
you
still
know, something
choosing.
nice. You know what I'm saying?
Hank is still choosing. To his point, Hank is still choosing at that point because he's
I'm
choosing whether to
I'm
take
gonna say
those
what
hints or
I'm
whether
gonna
to
ask
ignore
you.
those hints.
What is their specialty? What do they specialize? What kind of food do they specialize in? And
I
I'm gonna hear
mean,
what she has to say. She say, "Oh, they got some good soul food. Oh, we're going to Big Mama's Chicken House. Yeah, Big Mama's Chicken House got the better
Look,
chicken.
let's go to Big Mama's Chicken House.
Yeah,
I'll
sweet
just say,
potatoes, yams. You know what I'm saying? They got it all. Plus, you know,
Okay.
they offer us it's a la carte. You know what I'm saying? We gonna get us a chicken and some sides and some cornbread and a slice of pecan
"Gonna
or
eat your
sweet potato pie.
cornbread."
God, I'll
With
be
a
in a
tall
food
glass
coma
of
by then.
Wife's
tall
supposed to, I
glass
want
of
some
olive water
shrimp.
we're gonna flip on, and we're gonna enjoy ourselves while we interacting, engaging each other, and having a great time.
Oh, no,
What
that's
do you think
right.
about that, babe? She
Let's
like,
go. Let's
oh,
do
it
it.
sounds good. I said, I
Let's
know
do
it does. I'm on my way.
All
You know, I
right.
think
So,
the biggest thing is expecting justice from a society that does not care about justice.
Corey, are you
Yeah, you can be on
peeking
the
my
justice
notes?
thing.
I
Ooh,
think you
I'm
Corey.
see my
wasting my
notes a
time.
little bit, Corey. I think you peeking over here.
Woo, you going into a whole nother
Because you
rabbit
going,
hole.
you getting ahead of the agenda, but we
Am
going
I
to push
ahead?
it forward. We're going to push it forward because
All
tonight
right.
we're talking about just because the love is real, don't mean it's right. Again, this video is coming from my pastor, Dr. Darius Daniels. He is the pastor of Change Church, the church that I attend. And this month he's talking to the men, and he is articulating himself in a way that is understandable to those who be in church, because you know how church folk is. You can't tell them nothing because they holier than thou. But I like the way he articulates his message because it's understandable, it's comprehensible. He gives a good bite-sized gems, I'll say, that any and everyone can think on, ponder on, and pray on. And so I wanted to come from this angle of just because the love is real don't mean it's right is actually a phrase that he said in the message. And without further ado, we're gonna get into it because this is a 10-minute video, but we're gonna stop in between.
Interesting, y'all. Yeah, don't judge Samson.
Oh, and this message is based off of Samson and Delilah. You guys know who they are? Those characters in the Bible? Samson,
No,
Delilah. Samson had
more
his
New
strength in his
Testament.
hair.
Mhm.
Delilah was, part of the Philistines, pretty much the enemy to Samson, and she pretty much seduced him into giving up his strength in his hair. The enemy pretty much came and cut off his hair, and it was due to her. So she was his demise. Okay, so that's where we're coming from, the text that we're coming from.
Yeah, don't judge Samson. So he's got this affection for Philistine women. Is interesting, y'all, because it's interesting. He develops a particular liking to a woman named Delilah who ended up being his demise. The Bible says he fell in love with her. This wasn't lust, it was love. Just because the love is real doesn't mean the love is right. But PD is so real, but is it right? PD, I never felt like this before, but is it right? Nobody's affected me like this, but is it right? I feel like I've known him my whole life, but is it right? He loved her.
All right, I'm gonna stop it right there, right? Because right away he talks about it right away, and then we'll get into some things at the end. But just because the love is real doesn't mean it's right. Okay? Just because it's real doesn't mean it's right. So my question to you guys is, do we really know what right love is? How would you define right love? Now don't all speak at once.
I want to start with any married man. Please let us know, because if I knew what right was, I might be married, but I'm not. So married men.
I did drop the link. I believe I pinned it to the chat. So if anyone would like to join the chat, and if anyone is married in the chat, definitely join. But I don't necessarily think that you have to be married to know the definition of right love. But I appreciate you passing that up, Sean. You did the alley oop. You was trying to get the alley oop. I see you. Girl. I see you. I see you. I see you.
I know, but after the fact.
Corey,
Mhm.
you were once married, correct?
Yeah, 27 years.
All right. So he alley oop the assist came your way, Corey. It's on you.
Oh, I can answer that. The right love is two people with one mindset. Don't get married for good sex. Don't get married for money. Don't get married for any other reason other than one mindset.
Mhm.
Because life will disrupt everything you can pursue.
Mhm.
But if you have one mindset, it doesn't matter what comes.
Hey, all right, Corey. I'm gonna go there. What does one mindset mean? I was married for 14 years. I had 10 good ones. What does one mindset mean? How does that look?
Do you have familiar backgrounds in your upbringing? Did your parents teach you the same things? Do you have the same values? Did your mom and your dad do the same things? There is so much that goes into right love because as a child, you have an image of what love is. You were raised in it. You have to
Mhm.
find somebody that has that image of love.
Mm.
Wow.
Corey,
And
sorry.
simplistically put, equally yoked, as well
Mhm.
as understanding that you both have one vision, and you both can identify the vision in the same way.
Yeah, I was just trying to break it away from the scriptural part because sometimes that turns people off. I mean, trying to
Agree.
put modern words with it's the same meaning. It's just if you come across too wordy like from the Bible. I used to teach Sunday school, men's meetings and stuff. Um, but it just I just I married the wrong woman. There was just something about the way that. Okay, I'll leave that alone. But anyway, no, I was young. It
Yo,
just is what it is, you know.
Well,
see,
thank you, Corey, because that's why I wanted a married man to answer it because I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I just haven't been able to find somebody who can, as you said, have the same mindset. I will also fairly say that I haven't really been looking that thoroughly, but I haven't found it just in front of me. So, but the
Hmm.
point is, you're absolutely right. It does take somebody, especially as we get older. It takes somebody that really want to understand where you're at mentally, where you're thinking to go, uh, what your values are, and that they support and embrace those same values.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's the
because
core of a person.
Yeah, I
mhm.
got a different response, but you know,
Come on, Scam. I
Go
want to
ahead,
hear it.
Kim.
Yeah,
What's up,
that's really
Scam?
shocking,
I,
Scam.
and
Right.
I plead guilty of charges. I've met some mother queen goddesses in the past, um, and they got away. The first one was a ready-made wife, and she ran into me, and I didn't know what to do with a ready-made wife. I thought I did. My
Mm.
communication was not on point, and I didn't even know it, which is worse, which made it worse. So she got away. Um, Good love is when all them damn talking points don't mean anything because they never did, to be honest. When you know there's a person who's right for you, and you know that you could actually die with this person right next to you. When all the stuff just go, like the roof can actually blow off the house, and you won't care because that person's still there, and that person will actually still be there, and you'll figure the rest out. But I'm screwed up that one. And then there was another one who told me many times, "Look, I don't care about this. What do I got to do to make this work?" And she meant it every time. Tears on Skype, tears in front of me,
Skype.
100%. Yeah, it was just stay 4 hours away. Crying in person, almost damn near begging. And every one of her actions from day one that I met her to us not being together, she backed everything up. And I didn't know that that meant everything. And you're supposed to marry somebody for tomorrow and not marry for today. Because today's situation at the time was shaky. I'm in DC. I got a roommate. I hate DC. I hate my job. I hate this. What about this? What bottom line was anything that I ever would have needed, she would have done. She was almost waiting for me to tell her what it was so she could have it done and taken care of. And of course, she's married. But all that other stuff that talk about, well, you make sure that if you make 46,000 and she makes 32 and then she's in the kitchen and that's all junk. And they're gonna keep stuffing it down your damn veins. But notice the talking point mafia is not getting anybody married. It's making more people single and making more people hate each other across YouTube.
all
Uh,
right, so, all right, scam. I question. Earlier today, somebody told me that I didn't want to let a good woman go, which is why me and this person are talking and trying to build now. Why didn't you see that the person that you had in front of you was a good woman and like held on to her?
no, I knew she was good. I knew she was a great person, but I was fixed on. She had children. Was I dying to be Mr. Stepdaddy? Not really.
Okay.
But as I got to know her, you know what? For this person, one thing out the window. Because any of all the talking point questions you ask, can I discipline the kids? What can I do? Well, just she was married. She planned both her kids. She stuck with her husband, fought for him, all those things. Would she do this? Would she do that? How she? All of it. Perfect tens across the board. She scored to cover up anything that came with it. I saw, yes, she's a good woman, but all I saw was, okay, what I do now? Tell her to move down here to Maryland, and I don't even want to be here. What am I gonna do if this messes up? How am I gonna tell little kids? Oh, I know your daddy screwed up, and I'm screwing up too. All this junk. But I didn't only had tunnel vision at the time. I didn't see what I see now, 6, 7 years later. Like
Ah, I clearly
And I also
understand
didn't
it
see
now.
that I was going to be in the situation that I'm in. And I would have had a woman helping build the damn situation that I'm in right now. I'm good now, chilling. Not miserable, not definitely not no damn DC. I work from home in Florida. And this is just being by myself. If I had this person, oh man. But I didn't see it. All I saw was today, maybe the next 2 weeks. I didn't see 15 years from now. She would reach in her soul and pull out a lung and give it to me if I needed one. Those people are not replaceable.
You know what,
I
Scam?
didn't
I
see
was
that.
about to make jokes, but
Thank you for your honesty and
in
transparency, I should say.
reality, yeah, I was about to make jokes, but in reality, I want to commend you for being vulnerable enough to share that,
No,
and it's very valuable.
no, I'm good.
It's very,
Appreciate
very.
it.
Now I
But
will
no,
make the joke. So
I
that's why
take
they call you Dustin. Huh?
no, it's cool. I take that L. But at the end of the day,
Yep.
I hope her, the dude, her new husband, whatever, because she offered plenty of opportunities. I hope it works out for the best because she damn near she earned it, and I hope that family is well taken care of. Everything she earned it.
And not only
But
do I want to commend you
I
for
just
your
not gonna make that
vulnerability,
mistake again.
but I want to salute you for your honesty.
I appreciate it. But I met these people before, so all these dudes, all these women. Look, I met some great people, multiple. I'm gonna do this one more time, and I'm out. Then y'all can have the dust panels. But I've done it before. I'm gonna do it one more time. We're gonna get it right, and it's a wrap.
The Wife School podcast is a lot of people had a good person and blew it. So did everyone answer in regards to do we really know what right love is? Did everybody answer that? I
I
don't
didn't get it.
go
I
ahead.
didn't get a chance to answer. So, as far as me, I guess long we more on the same page than not, to me, would seem like that is the right person for me. You know, she's with the program. She's understands uh what the expectation is, what's the assignment, and she's okay with it because she believes in my leadership and she follows me, and she can rock with me. You know, and she makes sure she has that respect that she needs from me. Yeah, to me, that is the right love to me. So
Okay.
Precious, can I add to that? Because
Yes.
where Hink was going with that is actually very correct. What men aren't told today, what single men aren't told today is, I will actually quote the Bible on this one. A wife is a helpmate. Okay, so if you don't have anything going on in your life, you don't need a helpmate. You don't
Right.
need a woman just for sex and companionship. You got to have more than going on than just flipping burgers. She has to have a purpose in the home, and it ain't just washing your dirty underwear. She's
Hold on,
got too
hold
much.
on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Time out, time out. It ain't just watching dirty draws, but I want to welcome Andre because Andre hasn't been here in a minute, and some Scam asked me about you
I was
today,
asking about you today.
and
I
we
was
Hey,
supposed to
what's
be
up,
here
we
yesterday.
everybody?
have studied, been asking about you, praying for you,
Thank you,
hoping
thank you,
that
thank
you
you.
are okay. And I had to stop the press because you are in the building this evening.
Yeah.
So thank you for
Andre!
being here.
What's, what's up, Scam? What's up? Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody.
Yep, he just asked me today, like, have you heard from he put your government too? Have you heard from Andre Hartwell? So welcome back. Welcome back. We
Hey,
missed
glad to
you.
be back.
You
You
did
you got
see
a
his
hot
word on
subject.
my
You got a
phone.
hot subject.
Yeah.
Yes. And Mandrell, welcome. Thanks for joining us. But I apologize, Corey. I didn't mean to interrupt or disrupt you, but Andre, we really been, wondering where he at. We missed him over here.
I've been underwater, everybody. I've been breathing through a straw.
Oh
Good to see you back afloat.
no. Yes. But I would agree with Corey when he was saying, women are designed as helpmates. If you don't have anything to help us with, then we don't know what to do. We really have no purpose. But I wanted to say that as far as right love, um, to me, right love is someone who moves you towards covenant and not towards comfort or stays in comfort with you. So my parents are married. I've if anyone who doesn't know, I was adopted, and so my parents got married. They lived some of their life, and then they adopted children, right? And so I've seen two people together married. I see a woman loving a man, and I see a man loving a woman. But the best thing about their relationship to me is that it is a covenant relationship in which that two is better than one. And I've seen that. I've seen how two is better than one. Yeah, I had both of my parents raise us. When mom was, when she was working at the time, at night, dad would take us to school in the morning. She would pick us up in the afternoon. He would get his rest. I saw two people working together. I saw two people loving each other. Also, we know that, for God so loved the world that he gave, right? And so Dr. Miles Monroe said one time, he says, whatever a woman gives a man, she's going to multiply. Right? Whatever a woman gives a man, she's gonna whatever a man, excuse me, whatever a man gives a woman, she's going to multiply. And so I always say what a man freely gives. I'm not coming in with any expectations like you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do, because part of love is giving. And so I see that my dad is generous in taking care of my mom. He's generous in taking care of us as children. We didn't want for anything. We weren't out on the asking, begging for handouts or anything like that. We lived within our means. He was a good budgeter of money. Like he gave freely, and he also kept some things to himself as a man, but as at the same time, to me, that is right love. My dad's also a deacon. They raised us in the church. And so to me, that is right love. Everyone's right love is not going to be the same, right? But I think that everything should be done in decency and in order. And if you're going to have order, then you need to get that order from somewhere. And a lot of people don't necessarily see. I saw order and structure growing up, but a lot of people don't necessarily see that growing up. And so they're questioning what is right love. Because if you look at today, in today's media, social media, movies, whatever the case may be, right love is now we could just love whoever we want. No, Joe can love Steve, and sister girl can love Debbie, and like, you know what I mean? Like, is that right love, or is that culture's love, or is that society love? So I think that, when we go into relationships, we have to really define what right love is to us, because just because it's real doesn't make it right. Just because you really like that person doesn't make that person the right person for you. If the couple that we were talking about previously in the beginning, if they were together and they kept, you know, going through cycles of good and bad times, at some point you would say, okay, I may really love you, but is this right for me? And I think a lot of times we also run into questioning ourselves. If we're really honest with ourselves, I'm sure you say to yourself, I really like him or her, or I really, do have a certain feeling about this person, but are they right for me? Have you guys ever found yourself asking yourself that? Like, are they right for me?
I found myself asking that Sunday after listening to that message.
Mm, right.
Well, I'm
Oh,
going through
wait,
that.
we got some folks that done pulled up. Hold on now. Hold on. It's a
Oh, we
party.
got
It's a
Sir Hell
party.
and Bolo.
Sir Hell in the building. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm so busy up here talking. I didn't know y'all was backstage.
There's a party now.
It is. It is. Welcome,
Uh-oh.
guys. Go ahead, Sean.
No, I just said that I literally am going through asking that question right now. And my answer is has been to just sit back and really take some or exercise some aloneness
Mm-hmm.
and really process the fact on whether or not I am actually whether I have the right person or whether they're right or whether it's just love. Because right now I feel like it's just love and it's not right.
Okay, so you say you feel like it's love, but it's not right.
I'm actually going through that myself in a situation with my wife, and I made her angry years ago. I made her angry because I told her, I said, when you truly love somebody and you can't make them happy, you should love them enough to see them happy with somebody else. She didn't understand that statement. And when you understand how love works, you understand how your love works. And if she understands how her love works and it's not working together, and then there's some infidelity, you have to figure out whether or not we can fix this and have that right love that we both desire, or do we cut it loose? Because once infidelity enters the picture, you're going to have some powerful love in order for that relationship to get back on an even keel. And so I like the way you use that term. Is it the right love? Because having the right love is like having the right medication for any situation. If you got a headache, you're not going to take a medicine for a stomach ache. And so when you're dealing with something that's maybe messing with you and having that right love, then that wife and that husband gives each other the support that they need at that moment for whatever that might be.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I've heard that phrase before. If you love someone enough, love them enough to let them go, or love them enough to see them was happy with someone else, you don't think that's a cop out?
No, I
No.
don't. And let me tell you why. One of the things that I'm most frustrated with within myself is I made rules about not arguing with my wife, and I didn't hold to it. I used to tell my buddies, I was like, man, why are you arguing with your girl? All that time, that energy you wasting, you could be doing other things with it. Find out what the issue is and discuss it the proper way. What happens is, once you understand, like I said, you have to understand how love works. And once you realize, I mean, like you love them, but you're not in love with them anymore. And you're not a source of, and this is one of those things that some people don't agree with. I don't think my wife should be my source of happiness. I think she may elevate it or she could bring it down a little bit, but my happiness needs to be within myself. Her happiness needs to be within herself. Maybe I could bring it up a little bit, maybe I could bring it down a little bit, but she needs herself to be happy. And if she's dependent on me for her happiness, therein lies a huge problem. Because now I had a task of keeping me happy and her happy. That's a conflict.
Mm.
And when we make sacrifices in our relationship, that in itself should give us a measure of happiness, because that sacrifice, while it caused us some pain, should have benefited somebody else. There should be some joy in that giving. You see, and if we have somebody that's not willing to sacrifice certain things for the relationship, is that the right kind of love? So no, I don't think it's a cop out if it's genuine. Now, when people don't keep it real, of course it could be a cop out, because that's just an easier way of saying I'm done. I want to see you with somebody else. I'm tired of working on it.
A question for Andre. But
Right.
keep going, Andre.
No,
Right.
that was my breaking. That was my stopping point.
Now, the part about you not being responsible for her happiness and she's not responsible for yours, I agree with that. But when it comes to that, it's just like, okay, for me, this is just me personally. People who say that and exercise that option, I just think you weren't serious about marriage to begin with, because you take an oath. To me, oaths mean something. If I tell you I
Remember what I
promise, hold
said
on,
though.
let me finish. When I
Okay.
tell you I promise you something, you can bet your life savings I'm going to do that. So I'm not going to promise you something that I don't, for a fact, know that I can deliver.
Absolutely.
So my thing is, if you make a commitment for life, you know what I mean, which is what the marriage is. Okay, if there's a problem, both of you have to understand what you're getting yourself into in the first place, and both of you need to take it about seriously. So if there's a problem, if you marry somebody, I don't see where there's a problem that you can't fix. You might have to send that person. You might have to send that person to a therapist by themselves, or you might go to marriage counseling, something, or sit down and just talk about it within each other. But you have to be serious about doing the work to steer it in the right direction, or delivering to that person what they need for the time being, because it might be something temporary, it might be something permanent. However, you have to be willing to put the work in for real to deliver that. And what I see these days is people say they'll do it. They'll even come up on panels and say they'll do it. But when the opportunity comes to them in practical application, they don't have the heart to pull through. And so they take the easy way out and they leave. They file for divorce. You break up a family. All of a sudden, you could have fixed if you had the resolve and the constitution to do so. And people don't admit that. They make up all kinds of excuses because now they see where they're weak. And they never dealt with that before. They never had to admit to themselves, hey, I'm weak at something. I'm not good at something. So in their minds, they interpret it as they're a weak person or they're a bad person, which is not the case. 99.9% of people on the planet, from my observation, especially Americans, 99.9% of y'all can't compartmentalize when you think. You just kind of go with the flow of life by a script that you don't even know you're following.
That you don't even understand.
You're right. You don't understand it. You don't even know you're following. And it's led us to this. People just want the machine to work. They don't care how, they don't care why, but they want to take the path of least resistance and use excuses like, well, I love you enough to let you go. What? Well, if you love me, how about you do what it takes to deliver what I need? If you love me, why don't you do what it takes to learn how to communicate with me and learn how I need to be loved?
I got a question for Andre.
I just think it's
okay.
It's an excuse.
Give me 1 second, Scam.
Yeah, go ahead.
Remember what I said. I said it was one key word that I used, and it's sacrifice. You see, in order for any relationship to work, you have to be willing to make those sacrifices. And if it don't cost you some pain, it's not a sacrifice. You see, and so when you talk about making that relationship work, and you talking about being able to understand and work out the kinks, that's where the sacrifice comes in at, because now you have to be willing to say, like you said, I'm weak. Be willing to understand what that weakness is. Don't be afraid of it, because it's just like when you go to the gym to lift weights. If there's a part of your body that's weak, you got to develop that muscle in order to continue to grow.
And that's the same at first, though. You're right. There is pain. It's going to be sore at first.
It's going to be sore.
Probably for a while.
And that's the sacrifice. So go ahead, Scam. Talk to me, brother.
Question is, because I don't know if you were on, but I admitted, I met me a Mother Queen Goddess in 2013. Ready-made wife. She had some trauma, and she was super feminine. And with femininity comes emotions, and comes proper communication needed when a woman is emotional. And I was a blockhead and didn't know how to communicate. Within a short amount of time, I was in love, crazy about this woman. Then she was gone. And I didn't even know why. So I'm like, I thought I was listening. I asked her a question. She gave an answer. My ears were open. So I was listening. It was her fault. Wrong. Time as I started to learn more, I realized, hey, I was wrong. I wasn't being the person that she needed me to be at that time. She was gone. Every woman, when they pick you and decide to get in a relationship, we're only talking decent women. There's some type of man that they saw or something that they wanted that they said, I'm gonna marry. I'm rocking with this man. And it somehow has some change over time. But do you know what exactly that woman needs you to be? Do you know who that person is? Or what version of you that you need to be to bring out the best out of this woman?
You know
It's
what?
going to be somewhere in you.
You know what? That is a very good question. And one of the things that I found in relationships is that people have to be genuinely honest about what they're feeling and what they're thinking. Because early on, she made some statements to me, and I responded to her. I say, sometimes I feel like I'm not man enough for you. Okay. Now, I don't, I didn't take that statement lightly because for me, I'm 100% a man. And I don't measure my manliness on anything other than what my standards of a man are for me. Just like I don't judge another black man for his standard of what manliness is for him, because in our community we have such a hard time identifying as men because we have so many challenges to our manhood. None more so than women who challenge us on what being a man is. So here we are 20 years later, and what is she's always attacking me on? My manhood. And so when we had that discussion way back when, why couldn't she be honest with me from the standpoint and say, yeah, I'm kind of wishing you were this type of a man or did things this type of way or carried yourself this type of way. Because what happens is then I can help her to appreciate what a real man is. And there's so many things that I sacrifice in order to let me tell you a joke. Now you guys gonna laugh about this. I'm gonna tell you, this is how much a man I am. My coworkers, when I used to leave work, they used to tell me, say, listen, go ahead and put your thongs and your skirt on so when you get home, you'll be all right. That was the joke, because my wife's feelings were more important. But what I realized now is that in all those sacrifices that I made, instead of her appreciating me as the man that I am, I was allowing her to emasculate me. And that's probably the thing that pains me the most about where I am in my relationship.
How so? Emasculate you how?
From the standpoint of instead of appreciating what type of man I am, she views me as less than a man. And I'll give you an example. There was a person, who doesn't provide for his family at all. No financial support. But he does certain things and she's like, why can't you be like him? No, like it is here I am. You want me to be like him, because he do certain things for his wife that I don't do for you. But what does she do for him to make him do that? Although he doesn't support the family financially. You see? And so there is, I think, in the dynamics of our relationship, some huge misunderstandings because she is not honest in her thinking. You see? Because now, and this is why it's so important to understand why you think and feel certain ways about a person, especially your mate. Because once you think in your mind and you beat them down in your mind, now in real life, it's not hard to put them down. It's not hard to disrespect them. It's not hard to minimize their value in your system of things.
You know can I say this? First of all,
Yeah.
the real Princess, what's good with you? How you
Hey,
feel? Good to
hey,
see you.
hey! Thanks for being here, Sir.
Yeah. What's up, all the actual King Smith, Dusto, Hinkins in the building, Bolo TV, Corey, Andre, Mandrell, Sean, what's good, y'all? What's up, chat? So as you were talking, man, first of all, it takes a lot of courage for you to say what you said. Like if what you said is said in an environment of men who can understand what you're going through, they perceive your ability to communicate and to be emotionally intelligent as a sign of weakness. So it takes a lot of courage what you did, man. And I hope that in you sharing this, that you're finding some relief, because it's painful.
Absolutely.
It's painful when you love a woman and that woman don't love you back. So that's the first thing. The second thing is,
y'all are in my notes.
So the second thing is your wife, and I'll never speak on anybody's wife in a disparaging way. I'll never do that. But I just want to offer some truths. Going on 16 years of marriage, 21st of this year, you about to talk to your boy. You know what I mean? So when I heard what you were saying about your wife was saying about you, it wasn't that she was down in your manhood. No woman can down your manhood. What they can show you is that they don't value your manhood. And it's a very important thing to distinguish between that, because if we give somebody the power to down us and for who we are, we gave them too much control. And I don't care how much we love somebody, we never give somebody that control to change how we see ourselves, especially if we know we're putting in the right work and we're loving correctly. So that's the first thing. The third thing, you can be married to somebody and they not be connected to you. Now, I'm not saying this is your case, but so often us men, we love hard. And the truth is, men fall in love first. We fall in love, we start providing, we start giving, we start, working, we exert ourselves, and we assume that the woman we're with she's gonna see that effort, she's gonna see that love, and she's gonna reciprocate. And some women don't have the maturity level to do it. And a man will break his own heart by trying to change how a woman sees him, thinking that if he just does more, it'll change. So my brother who just left, good brother Andre, I hope that he finds some healing and that he doesn't relate what he does with how she's supposed to feel. Because the truth is, if a woman really loves you, she's not waiting for you to give her stuff before she loves you. She loves you. And as a result of that love, it's going to make you want to do more for her. So much respect to my brother Andre. Much love to him.
Yes, I hope he comes back up. He dropped down. It looked like he may have been at work, so hopefully he comes back. But thank you, Sir Hale, for giving him those words of encouragement. I appreciate this space because you guys really, find this as a safe space, and I appreciate that. So I'm glad that you're able to be hot, honest, open, and transparent, because that's what we are over here. Bolo TV, I don't think I've ever seen you here before, so welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Sir Hale,
Bolo, what's up, brother?
How y'all feeling, man? How y'all feeling? I hope everything is good.
Good.
Sir Hale hit it on the head. I think a lot.
On to the next direction. Can I just say this? That was a very vulnerable share that Dre did with us. And one thing that I gotta say to us brothers, in our vulnerability, we sometimes miss that we struggle at times with our self-esteem, and we need to really address and identify that it might be a self-esteem that we need to build up on, because our pride disguises it like it's not our self-esteem, and sometimes it is for whatever reasons. That can be you can get to the conclusion of that, but often women struggle with their self-esteem and they act out, and brothers, we also struggle at times with our self-esteem, and then we act what quote unquote emotional, or we act in ways that people want to call feminine, but instead of calling it feminine, identify with what it is. Our self-esteem might have been tainted, or might have been attacked, and let's deal with it accordingly.
Well, let me add this to that. A lot of times, we marry for the feeling of love opposed for the action of love. And there's a big difference. Because when you see the action of love, it's totally different than the feeling. The feeling of love is not quantified. Love is, right? So for example, how do I define my brotherhood? And I always use this example when I'm on Hank's channel as love and Hank, because of what we've been through. When the smoke cleared, that brother was there. There was actionable work that he put in to prove his love, right? Love is not just a word. Love is an action. Love is a movement. Love is an environment that is created, right? So it's easy for us just to say love. So what does love encompass? Love encompasses sympathy, kindness, forgiveness, loyalty, truth, emotion, empathy. It encompasses generosity, patience, direction, protection. All these things are actions, and then you get a response from women, which is the love towards. Now, love for a man is different for a woman. The love that a woman should have for a man is respect. And I think that we get caught up in knowing the difference. Women think that they can love us the way we love them, and you can't. And this is where a lot of relationships sometimes, fall apart. You know what I'm saying? A lot of relationships fall apart in that because, again, before I become a husband physically, I need to be a husband spiritually. And
That part.
this is what's happening a whole lot versa for the women. A lot of the times you think that these guys become NBA players when they get to the NBA. Absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? They had to put the work, the discipline in. So if I know that I have $100,000 diamond and I've done the work on it, right? I got the certifications and all that. If Hank comes to me and says, I'll give you $40,000 for that diamond, I'm going to go, no, my brother, I'm sorry. I'm going to wait for the right buyer. So us as men, we need to know what our worth is so that we can demand our value and our standards and stop taking lower bids than what we're really truly worth. And if we are patient enough, because a lot of the time we're not patient. Patience isn't taught today. Everybody wants things microwavable now. Patience is not taught. Wait for your woman. Wait for your man. If men and women are not checking the boxes the way you need them, thank you for coming. God bless you. Good night. Move on to the next. Don't settle. If it's $100,000 you got to sell, wait for that buyer because that's what's messing us up. We're picking the wrong people. We put more quality on us than we do in us. And that's one of the biggest problems that we have.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys' feedback. We're going to keep going on with the video because y'all getting ahead of the notes and I don't appreciate it. Okay. I'm just kidding. We're going to keep going ahead with the video because y'all tapping on some stuff.
I don't even have time.
But let me go back a little bit just so we make sure we don't miss anything.
Affected me like this, but is it right? I feel like I've known him my whole life, but is it right? He loved her. I don't even have time. But nothing in the text says she loved him. There is emotional inequity. I don't understand. Why would Samson be interested in someone like that? To take it further, when you consider all that he went through before her. Because she wasn't the first Philistine woman he had a relationship with. She the third. He was married to one. So I don't have time. But you keep choosing a different person but the same type. They taller but they still a Philistine. They younger but they still a Philistine. They make more money but they're still a Philistine. Same type.
We're going to stop it there. He talked about emotional inequity. He talked about the man. He talked about Samson loving Delilah, and Delilah never even said that she loved him, yet he was ready to risk it all for her. Emotional inequity meaning lack of fairness or justice. And Corey was talking about this earlier, where in a relationship, there can be a dynamic where you have one person, and in this instance, it's the man loving the woman more. And instead of leaving that woman, like Bolo TV was saying, and just saying, hey, look, this, instead of being patient and waiting for that right woman, you are giving up your future. You're having a bowl of soup like we were talking about last week instead of waiting for the right one, or you are participating in emotional inequity, meaning you're not getting out what you're putting in. Have you guys, when I talk about emotional inequity, I believe sometimes that is something that people will hold on to rather than being alone, or rather than being patient and patiently receiving the right person for you. Instead of doing that, you're steady receiving the wrong person for you for the sake of having someone, and now you're probably in negative at this point. But have you guys experienced emotional inequity where you're giving more and that person is just not giving back to you, yet you're still holding on to that person? And what
Experience,
was your
Yeah.
reason?
experience right now.
For
Uh,
me, oh, go ahead, Sean.
Okay,
I'm
Sean, so you say you're experiencing it right now. So what is your reason for holding on to someone who's not able to reciprocate um what you're giving?
time invested. Is primarily the only reason, and I'm letting that go. You know, basically, I feel like I'm going to have to put in the work in any relationship I get into, but in my mind, I feel like I have to put in less work because I already put in a lot of work here, and it's getting to the point where it's starting to spark, but it's not sparking quick enough for me. To Bolo's point, I want it like, understand the worth and value, but I'm ready to settle for that. I'm not ready to settle, but I'm like, this person already put down the down payment for 40,000 on that 100,000. So this other person is going to have to put 100,000 and they only got 20. So because I'm
Okay.
running to people who still, I guess, quote unquote, need work. I do as well, but work in the places where this person has already kind of graduated, and then I meet somebody else new, and they have all of the qualities, but I start finding that some of the things that they're challenged with are the things that I'm leaving alone, and I'm like, I already invested over here. Doesn't make sense to invest over there. Is kind of where I'm challenged, and I'm learning from the pastors. Like I said, literally this sermon that happened on Sunday
Mhm.
is confirming my loneliness, and just going ahead and waiting, as Bolo said, for that person who could afford the 100,000.
Okay.
Well, can I ask you a question? Well, it's really a statement. Words are very important, right? And but negates everything prior. Like, for example, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm going to interrupt you, right? So, a lot of the times we have to be happy with who we are as men or women. In other words, when the Lord tells you, love your brother as you love yourself, you have to know how to love yourself before you love your brother. And a lot of the times we don't love ourselves. We don't know how to truly love ourselves. And it starts with the example of Christ loving you, engulfing you and cocooning you in that atmosphere of love. You being worth something. You have to know what your worth is. You have to know it. And sometimes, when you make that mistake, you have to be willing enough to say, you know what, I made a mistake. I got to pick up and continue moving. You can't get caught up in the situation saying, well, I've invested 8 months, so I'm just going to continue. We can't make people what we want them to be. A scorpion is a scorpion, my G. That's what they are. And a lot of the times, people show you who they are, but because of our inadequacies and our self esteem, we want them to be something for us that we can't be for ourselves. And that's why a lot of the times we trauma bond. So again, I'm glad you're in this place, a safe place where as brothers we can talk to each other and not look at someone weak or a simple whatever. Because I think being able to talk about your weaknesses make you in fact stronger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Agreed, agreed. And can I say this just in response? What was shown to me was actually a lot of the things that uh were of value, things that I did not specifically understand or appreciate when it was shown. And so therefore, the response to that or was really what I'm dealing with now. A lot of the bed that I made, so to speak, is what I'm lying in. And so now what I'm seeing is a reflection of me prior to me understanding who I am now. And so therefore I have a little bit more tolerance to understand the hardening, the bitterness that might be being reflected back at me. But to your point earlier, I understand that if that bitterness is not willing to soften up and willing to stay there, that's where I have to understand, recognize, and move forward from. And so that's the space that I am in now. It's not the space of not understanding the worth and value, just understanding that the time that I invested, and more importantly, the things that I did not contribute into the relationship, or what I was responsible for not supplying to the relationship that I now know is important to endure a relationship, is what I understand I did. And because of that, I give grace when I see it being reciprocated from that standpoint. And that's kind of where I have been. But at the same time, how much grace and or patience is it before I might have hardened that heart a little too much to where I'm not going to be the softener, and I have to accept that.
I wanted to go to Corey. Do you think, I know earlier you said you married the wrong person. Do you think that was because of emotional inequity? Like, do you think it was because of a lack of fairness or justice and love in the relationship? If not, have you ever been in that situation before where you feel like you love someone more than they love you? They're not necessarily giving you what you're putting into the relationship.
To be completely honest, it was lust.
Okay.
Also, I heard a lot of people say that you can learn to love somebody, and I bought into that Disney fairy tale.
Mm.
I don't believe in that no more. There's something I want to tell the gentleman on the panel, the single gentleman. I mean, he's married. He's a married man. Sir Hale's a married man. You know, it doesn't apply to everybody. But if you date too much, you're going to think a dating relationship is normal, and you're not going to know what a wife relationship looks like, because dating relationships is a girlfriend experience, and you're going to think that is real life. That's not real life. That's fast food. You can't think, don't date so many women. It's the same thing for women. If you date too many people, you're messing your head up because you're going to think it's normal.
Yeah.
You're not even going to recognize a wife because she's not going to move like a girlfriend.
Especially if you don't have any type of foundation. You know, it's one thing to go out looking for a car and you know exactly what you want. So you go to a couple of car dealerships and you search for a car. But if you don't know what you're looking for and you just go to a car dealership and you just test driving all these cars, you don't know why this one is better than this one. You don't know how this car is faster than this one, or if it's not, the gas mileage, things like that. So you definitely do have to have some good foundation training and teaching, and I would say examples as well if you are going to date, because sometimes they say you gotta kiss a couple frogs now. Sometimes they be frogs. Everybody ain't gonna be the right one, and that goes for men as well. You guys come into that's what this message is pretty much about. The love is real, but is it right?
Well, the biggest thing is how many people need therapy today, because it's not
Right.
just women that need therapy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How many men walking around unhealed from past hurt that
Mhm.
women have caused, or that their parents have caused?
Absolutely. Especially with
I mean,
the man. You know, when you look at men, we're told not to speak. We're told not to hurt. We're told not to feel. We're told not to cry. We're told to run through that wall and continue running through it. We're told not to bleed. So, absolutely, Corey, you're absolutely right. You know, I think that it should be mandatory that you go get therapy before you get into a next relationship to make sure that you're still in the Lord, that you made sure that you have closed every chapter before you move on to the next, bringing that luggage with you. Because a lot of the times people marry for happiness, and they don't understand that marriage is work. I've been married for 28 years. It's not easy, man. It's not easy. Sometimes, you know, let me, like Sir Hale said something that was important that I think we need to focus on when he said that men will love before women will love men. A man's love is always going to be greater than a woman's love. It's always going to be greater because our love is sacrificing, if need be. Our love has to be Christ-like. It's that Christ-like leadership. That's what it has to be. That. So we have to be foundationally on point with ourselves and in that connection with the Lord and Savior. It has to be. That's the direction and the intention that you move in. And remember, the one thing we can't get back is time. So ask the questions, man. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. Don't be afraid to be on point and do what you need to do to make sure that this is the right woman for you, a right man for you.
Yes.
Yeah, a person can add to this.
Sure.
Because y'all know Samson, this is one of my favorite stories. So check it out. You get what you pay for. If you meet a woman and your money can afford her, you will never get what you want. And I think so many men lead with their ability to give her stuff, and you're paying for a safe spot, but just because you're paying for it, I mean you're gonna get that. He paid to lay with somebody he couldn't live with. And I think this is a truth for every man. Just because she's a safe spot doesn't mean she's your safe place. Samson learned this the hard way, and I think so many of us men do too. We go, we find a woman we like. She's attracted to us. She fits our sexual appetite. And then after you done got that post-nut clarity, after you done clapped that thing up and you done hit it, slapped it a couple different ways, you done made a shout to the rooftop, you think you done something. And you don't realize that you having a moment of vulnerability in that moment don't mean you done found a friend for your life. And I think too many men, we open up too much to women too quickly, and you're falling in love with the transaction and not with an investment. A girlfriend who wants what you have, that's a transaction. You take her out to dinner, you have some sex, she throw that thing on you, she throw it back, that's a transaction. An investment is a woman, she ain't even looking for all your money. She's not trying to take your stuff, and she's not using the currency that you're providing as an opportunity to exploit your vulnerabilities. A real woman is called to strengthen you, not to weaken you. And the issue with Samson and the issue with so many men is we find women who exploit our weaknesses, and most of the women don't speak to our greatness. And I think that's something every man needs to look out for.
Preach. All right. Did everyone go on this topic of emotional inequity?
Well, I want to talk about something, but I guess it's a little bit off task. But Scam, go ahead, because mine's going to be a little bit off task. But go ahead.
I'm gonna say it. Met woman, caught feelings. It didn't work, and I wanted to swing the sledgehammer because in my mind was a false expectation that because I'm this person and I love this person and I'm this person and everything is cool and I'm a good guy and I'm doing this and I'm willing to, I thought that she's supposed to fit in that box. So when something falls off, get back in this box. And, first time is arguing. Then I'm thinking it's all put together. All right, come on, let's get it back together. Then it crumbles right on off. And I'll get back in the box. I didn't understand, the real work that it took to make it work. I thought that that's what you're supposed to do. I'm the same person I was 2 weeks ago. You're who you are. It's supposed to work. Let's go forward. Nope.
That's part of the problem. You're the same person you were 2 weeks ago.
The person 2 weeks ago didn't know something was wrong.
Right.
I
Like I
thought I
said,
could put some super glue and it was fixed because she said, "Oh, all right, okay." But really, it's like maybe he'll get it together and fix the problem, the real problem. But she nodded her head, says, "Cool. I thought the problem was fixed. Come on, up 2, 3. Come on forward." Wrong. Next thing you know, gone.
also, that's part of that's her fault too for not communicating to you that the problem wasn't fixed.
According to her, she communicated. My ears were open, but they weren't listening. But
Right.
I had traditionalism mindset. Traditionalism, which I really can't stand.
Yeah, because tradition is what got us.
Protect, provide, have a job, and these things, and she's supposed to just fall. No. God.
No. Because tradition is what got us where we are in the first place.
Yes.
The whole rest of the world kept moving forward, but tradition is going to keep you stagnant right in one spot. You have to change with the world, otherwise you're just going to get left behind, just like we did. The proof is in the pudding. We got left behind, and people are they got people advocating for staying in one spot when time moves in one direction, forward. The world moves in one direction, forward, but you want to stay in one spot. Now, I understand if you want to keep values, ethics, things like that, and keeping your word, no promiscuity. Those are rules and boundaries. You want to keep the rules and boundaries? Okay, fine. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. But there's other things that we got mixed up, like the whole thing with the church. The Bible hadn't changed in 2,000 years. There's a problem with that, people. We have to find other ways of doing things, yet staying committed to the Lord. If that's the religion you believe in, other people it's Allah, other people it's Buddha and whomever. Zoroastrianism, it's a lot of people. Native Americans is Wakantanka.
What exactly would you want the Bible to change to?
I didn't say I wanted the Bible to change anything. But however, it's the way people live life over 2,000 years ago. It's not the same way we live life today. So we have
do you see it as a living word, or do you just see it as words in a book?
Well, here's the thing. They are, in fact, just words in a book. They're guidelines. It's a map. Now, the problem is the terrain has changed, but we're using the same map. But that map, but I understand what you're saying. A living word is supposed to evolve with the times. The problem is we ain't following the evolution.
I don't think it's connected to the Bible. I get where you're going.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, we don't live the same way they did 2,000 years ago.
Right. It's not connected to the Bible. Well, some of it is with traditions.
I hear a lot of that today, though.
As a man was click 2 boxes in 1942, and you could cover up a lot of stuff. In 2023, the world changed, and a lot of that adaptation that's needed didn't happen.
We're talking about Samson right now, right? A man who gave up it all because of weaknesses that he had with a woman that was his enemy that he shouldn't have been with. I think that happens in today's world. I mean, people on this panel have been, pretty much admitting, hey, I've been there before. So I think the Bible being written back when it was written and the issues that we go through today, I don't think there's really anything new underneath the sun.
I think it's different. Go ahead, Mantra. I'm talking to isn't necessarily Bible. I'm just talking about traditionalism.
Yeah, traditionalism, period. We have to change that. We have to form new traditions. We have to establish a new base. Too much time has passed doing the same thing, and it got us right where we are. How long are you going to keep doing the same thing and keep getting the same result, but then you get on panels and with company and complain about it? The thing with Samson is
your point. To your thing, Mandrell, just that point. I think it's so easy to say tradition and then something wrong with tradition, and then something wrong with Christianity, and then something wrong with the Bible. There's nothing wrong with the manual. It's just people get tired of doing it, and then they don't see the results they want to have. And then the little part that they cherry picked, they thought that little piece was going to be that's enough.
The end all be all, and it's not.
And I'm saying that's not the way that it works. If you're going to follow a manual, you got to follow the manual. Into the real precious point, there's nothing that you can look up today. Now, maybe things in forms and methodologies, okay. But principles, ain't nothing changed. There is nothing, according to Ecclesiastes, there's nothing new under the sun. What we're talking about is a story that happened, thousands of years ago, and it's still relevant today. So there's nothing wrong with tradition or the Bible.
I get what you're saying. It makes sense.
I get what he's saying, and yeah, it makes sense. What I'm saying is, okay, you have to adapt that way of life to the way the world works today, and that's where people get the hiccup at. They don't know what to do with that. Okay, a lot of the principles and stuff, yeah, they apply today. I agree with that wholeheartedly. A lot of things, but however, traditions, like it's a tradition to eat chitlins on holidays. I've never in my life had chitlins. You know what I'm saying? Because of health, because of the health, my family just didn't cook it. So it's like, and plus, when I found out what they were, it was over. Wasn't even going to try it. Okay, but here's the thing: we know that the foods that we eat when it comes to soul food kills us. But it's a tradition to do it. But then we wonder why we have health issues. So then, when doctors tell you why you're having a health issue, it's not that. I'm just getting old. I can't run anymore because I'm just getting old. You gain weight. I'm gaining weight because I'm just getting old. No, there's a formula to it. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you want to eat, now here's the thing. Here's where the adaptation comes from. If you want to eat those kinds of foods, it's okay to have them from time to time, once in a blue moon. You can't eat that stuff all the time. You can't have sugar all the time. But people want to go for that. Like I said, tradition.
So it doesn't sound. So it doesn't sound like it's the Bible. It sounds like it's man.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying,
Bolo. I see where you're going, Precious.
What I'm saying,
denial. You
I
can't
see where you're going.
when you look,
I'm not blaming the Bible at all. I'm saying it's us. We're having a problem adjusting.
What I'm saying is truth is truth, right? And that's the difference. When you look at truth through the sight of man, it's askew. Man wants to try to fit everything to themselves, opposed to them understanding what truth is, it being what it is. And that's the problem that we have on this earth. We're not looking at things through the lens of God. We're looking at it through the sight of man. And that's a big problem because man is going to make things fit. You know that chick ain't the chick you need. You know you got champagne dreams and 40 money. But because you see your boys doing it, you want to do it too. So it has nothing to do with the book. It has a lot to do with the dreams that are being sold to us as men and women and us not tapping into reality. The only difference between back when I grew up is we had a span of 5 blocks, right? That's how far we looked for our little shorties back then. Now with the internet, you can talk to a chick in Bangladesh. Now the difference is we not looking in the mirror knowing what the truth is. I know that Instagram chick don't want to talk to a dude like because she wants to do with bread. But because of my ego, meaning exiting God out, I'm not dealing with truth. I want to deal with trying to conflate my own thought process. I go after her. And like what Hink said, I think it was Hink or Scam. No, it was Sir Hale. When you lead with your bread, we got to stop saying that the only thing that a man brings to the table is providing. It's not just that. We lead, nurture, guide, protect, sacrifice. It isn't just provide. And a lot of these dudes lead with their wallet. So what happens when you lose your job and she becomes the breadwinner? Does that mean she's the head of the house? So
you're tapping the very thing that you're doing is the exact thing that we're asking for. Like traditionalism is still going on where they keep saying protect and provide, protect and provide, protect. Then they wonder why the women are checking for your money and they don't even like you. Well, or the men keep doing the same thing and grabbing their wallet and running out there chasing after. What you're saying, how you added those extra things?
Yeah, but we can't. We got to stop saying when we talk about a man providing, it's more than just money. Why is that always the go-to move?
No,
like
I'm saying
when we say provide, I provide more than just money for my woman.
That's what goes in the subconscious mind. That's what they're going to ask
a mental stability. I provide her emotional stability. I provide leadership. I provide understanding. I provide a safe place where she could come and be vulnerable and talk to me. That's all part of the provision too. Why do everything always got to be about money though?
You're
The
absolutely
woman,
right, Hank, and I
That's
think
all
that
we
We're
can
all on the
leads.
talk
same
about,
page.
Hank.
I think
Well, that's
that
the
leads
problem
to
because
Right,
some of
we're on
y'all
the same
people
page.
don't
Hank,
fail.
you're absolutely right. I think that leads to what usually our argument isn't really. Our arguments and confusion usually comes from semantics and understanding context and points of views. Because technically, when we was talking traditionalism, I agree with what y'all saying, but it's not traditionalism that is the issue. The issue is that we are defining traditionalism with certain ethics and standards, and we're conflating them, as the gentleman said earlier. And unfortunately, we argue over that. We argue over the semantic. What is the meaning of this, and what's the meaning of that, and really, it's a pointless argument, and we continuously do it. We have people who come up here who are very educated, and they say all of the right things, and they might meet somebody who's not as educated, and they get the best of them, and it really is no point, because you're not getting anywhere. You're not getting a resolution, because that person that you're educated, you might not have knowledge that the other person who is sharing his knowledge you need to add to your education, and vice versa. But until we stop going and arguing over semantics and having these vocabulary acrobatics that we deal and do with each other, we're gonna continue this ring around the rosy that we keep on landing ourselves on.
well, see,
You were
but
correct, sir.
that's the issue, Sean. The issue is the semantics. The issue
Mhm.
is that we need to get the foundation
Words
right.
are important. Yeah.
Words are important. If the foundation of the house ain't on point, you gonna build something that's gonna fall. I'll give you
Let,
an example. I'll give you an example of what I'm saying. I'll give you an example. If I said to you, check this out. I was talking to Hank and he was emotional. The first thing we think is that he had to be in his feelings. Emotional doesn't mean just that, it doesn't mean that he was in his feelings. It could mean that he was happy. You say, yo, when I met Hank was smelly. We automatically think something negative. Smelly just means whatever he smelled like it was in abundance. So words are important because words can make or break. So words are
you,
very
you're lending to my point. It's not the no words aren't that important. Understanding is important. You can say all the words you want, and to your point, what you're trying to say, and it's a semantic thing again, is words are important. No, understanding is important. Understanding what they meant by those words. So
and
you're
that's
you're
why the
right,
Lord
but
says,
we're still doing the same. When you're saying words are important, yo, you can say all those words. If I don't understand it, it does not matter.
But
and
that's why
that's why
words are important. Because you should use the words that are easy to be understood.
I mean, but
you
if
see.
if you don't understand a language, you can't use the words.
Oh,
So
I think Bolo is talking. I didn't realize.
Yeah, we're all on the same page, though.
What I'm saying to you is, when the scriptures tell you season your words, season your speech, it means that the way I speak to King, even though I'm telling him 1 + 1, may not be the same way I deliver that precious, right? So I have to know the audience that I'm talking to so I can get that message across. This is what made Christ so dope. That's what made him so dope, because he was able to become weak.
Mhm.
He met you where you were at. And that's the point. The point is we're caught up into one person feeling that way, one person feeling that way, and we don't sit down and be still and say, okay, let's understand why you feel this way. Let me hear what you're saying, bro, so that we can deal with the crux of the problem. It's too much do we deal with branches instead of dealing with roots. I hate dealing
Mm.
with, I love dealing with the root of the issue. Let's kill it if we're going to kill it. And that's the
and,
point.
and the funny thing is, do you realize the point is that we're saying the same thing?
Yeah, we're on the
Absolutely.
same page.
Right. I get it. We're saying the same
All
exact.
right. Well, in that case, let's move on in the video. We're gonna move.
It was me. I did it. It was me. I'm
All right, we're gonna move on. We're gonna get on down this yellow brick road a little bit more. Because we might have to have a part 2, like Corey said in the back chat. Because I want to be done by 11, but it ain't my will.
What happened? Because it's not a dumb man. He did a dumb thing, but he's not a dumb man. And if you dismiss this as dumbness, you rob yourself of the richness of this lesson. If you make some broad generalizations, that culture may agree with and affirm, but that scripture will contradict. It's easy to be intellectually lazy and say stuff like men are dumb. It takes more work to lean in and to say, I'm not excusing what happened. It was wrong. But let me dig deeper and find the why. Because if I don't find the why, all we dealing with is the symptom of the sickness.
Bolo literally just said this.
So we've diagnosed symptoms, but not the sickness. Maybe, family, maybe there were some qualities in Delilah that although the relationship was wrong, maybe the qualities made it feel right. Maybe Delilah represents Samson getting a right need met in the wrong place.
We're going to stop it there. Getting the right need met in the wrong place.
And
He
Precious,
talked about.
Precious, I want you to focus on what he just said. The feeling. There has to be work to quantify that feeling. Too many. How many women on this panel have said, "This is the girl for me," and there was no work done, and she broke your heart? There has to be work. We have to stop looking for the feeling opposed to the action. We look at the Proverbs 31 woman, the virtuous woman. That was a reaction to something.
Why y'all in my notes tonight? Y'all are just skipping ahead.
Action. Her moving the way she moved was because of the way the man moved. That's why when you read Ephesians chapter 25, it gave 13 verses to how the man is supposed to treat the wife, opposed to the wife 3 verses. Why? Why did it do that?
Supposed to leave.
It's very important that we understand what leadership and what manhood and what a husband is. We better understand that. This thing, it's hard, man. Don't take marriage lightly. It's already perfectly made. When you start adding things to it, it's going to be not perfect. Don't add to it, baby. It's straight up and down like 6 o'clock. You ain't got to add nothing to it.
Because when you do, you start getting your right needs met in the wrong place, right? You start to think because he's talking about Delilah and Samson being in a relationship. Now, both of them were single. It was a relationship that they shouldn't have been in because the Palestinians were the enemy. So it's like she the enemy, and she's speaking to some needs, but my needs shouldn't be spoken to by this woman because I shouldn't be with this woman. She's the enemy. However, although she's the enemy, she is meeting some needs that are not being met. And in today, in realistic terms, in marriages, you'll have needs that are not necessarily being met, and then you'll have men who may step out or cheat or do whatever and get the right needs met, but in the wrong place. That should be a place where his wife is meeting those needs. But you have people that are not getting down to the roots of why they're together, or the honesty part of, what we were talking about earlier with Andrew. People are not really being honest about their feelings and their thoughts and their fears and, their insecurities in a relationship. And so they're staying in that relationship, right? The love is real, but it's not right. And then they get their needs met in the wrong place.
Yeah, but Delilah, she was grimy from out the gate. You know what I mean? Obviously, when you read scriptures, they say she was an attractive woman, and she was pretty cunning too. So the Philistine, I guess, lined up Samson to body Samson through Delilah. Delilah was evil from out the gate.
But the point is that you're right, but he knew that they were the enemies out the gate, and he went and got his needs met from the enemy,
Right,
instead of
right.
being able to get his
For
But
the
needs
third
met.
time.
he
For the
he
third
felt he
time.
felt he fell for the okie doke. Know what I
For
mean,
the
like
third time, but for the third time, he didn't fall for it once. He
Right.
married a Philistine woman, and then he was in a relationship with a Philistine woman on 2 different occasions. So it's like he keeps revisiting this wrong place where he's getting his needs met.
Right. And in this day and age, what will be said is I
Sample.
like what I like.
I like what I like. I ain't got
Okay.
no
Sample.
type.
Here's a question for you. Um, those are poor decisions on his behalf for obvious reasons. How would you apply that to modern day way of life?
Yo,
Because I mean,
he wanted the
it's not like we
buns.
have. Well, it's
He
not
wanted
like
the
we have.
buns.
Okay, that's cool. He wanted buns. Got it. However, he's sleeping with a woman who's clearly an enemy to whatever tribe he belonged to. So that was not a good decision. Like again, obviously, for obvious reasons. How would you apply that to modern day? I mean,
Bigger
getting your
picture.
needs met in the wrong place.
I like what I like.
The bigger
You can
picture to
bring
that
them on
man.
a trap panel and I control them. That's how you can handle it.
No, the bigger picture to that man, Drill, would be
You're
this.
doing this.
Would it
This,
would go ahead.
this is how you apply that today, Andrew. Okay, because we're missing what's significant. He begot himself. He wanted something that he knew he wasn't supposed to have. So when you look at, and I gave you that example, you know that you don't have the fun to deal with that chick. You know that she is one of those chicks that's a gold digger and you don't have the bread. But you put yourself in a delusion mind state to go after that chick. And then when she takes you and flees you, you get pissed off at her. When no, brother, it was you. It's easy. It's easy to point the blame at everybody else. You know why? Because when you realize that you're the problem, you then have to become the solution. And a lot of us don't want to do that. A lot of us don't want to put the work in to correct ourselves. It's easy to say it's Sean that's the problem. But what dysfunction did I bring to the table? We don't like looking into the mirror, bro. So at the end of the day, we have to look at the bigger picture. Forget that she was from a different tribe. Forget that she was the enemy. The point of the matter was she wasn't good for him. So at the end of the day, you know when a woman ain't good for you. Just like you said, you know you shouldn't be eating that food. You know you shouldn't be eating it, but you're delusion yourself. Put yourself in a mind state where you think, nah, I'm just going to continue to do this and not think that there's ramifications with the decisions that I make. The onus is on you. That's why the Lord says, look in the mirror, bro. Don't be trying to blame somebody. You have a big mote in your eye. It's you.
I think he cut out. I don't know. Bolo, you
Yeah, Bolo needs to get his internet fixed or pay a
Yeah,
bill
that
or
microphone
something.
was hurting.
Yeah.
No, it could just be his microphone.
Yeah, he knew that
Yeah.
microphone wasn't right for him.
Right. He knows. Bolo knows better.
Shout out to Bolo.
Bolo knows better. I don't know what's his deal tonight.
Well, I want to talk about. Well, let me say this, ladies. Don't be comparing your man to another man. Don't do that bullshit. Don't ever do that bullshit. That's the craziest thing I ever seen or heard. Comparing your man to another man, even comparing to the ex. None of that. Your baby daddy. Don't do that. That's the worst. Because I promise you, you would hate if that man compared you to an ex or another woman. That would kill you to the soul. So I just want to make a public announcement on that. Precious, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Change the trajectory of the show.
No, it's all good. It's all good. That's needed. All right, so we're gonna keep going ahead.
Maybe the Proverbs 31 woman was hard to find. I love this. I love Proverbs 31 because it's a woman having a conversation, an honest conversation, an honest conversation.
A hot conversation, honest, open, and transparent.
A honest conversation with her son about women. Just like a father knows men, a mother knows women. She say, sit down, son. And who can find? Say, this is hard to find. Maybe he kept going to the Philistines because he didn't see a lot of difference. Maybe he was dealing with the same kind of condescension and combativeness.
I'm gonna stop it right there because he talks about the Proverb 31 woman, and a lot of times in these spaces, men they want that traditional woman, they want that Proverbs 31 woman, and he was saying how in that scripture, it's pretty much a woman speaking to a woman about women, pretty much saying Proverbs 31 woman, like she's hard to find. Where are you going? Virtuous woman, her price is far beyond rubies. Like, where are you going to find her at? And he pretty much was saying, well, maybe he went to Delilah because he couldn't find exactly what he was looking for. Maybe there was no one that was different. Maybe there was no one that was speaking to a tune that this woman was talking about. So the question that I wanted to ask you guys is, what kind of conversations did your mother have with you in regards to women? What did your mom tell you about women?
Nothing.
All right.
I didn't have relationship talk with my parents. My mom asked me, "Hey son, you having sex yet?" I said, "No, ma'am." And she said, "Okay, well, when you do, take these. You make sure you use them." It's okay. She had me a box of condoms. That was it. I was 16, and then when I was 17, that's when it happened. You know what I'm saying? She didn't know, but talks about it.
She didn't say anything about like, watch out for this type of woman or treat women this way.
Well, yeah, treat women this way. She taught me to be a gentleman and stuff like that, and taught me to be chivalrous and what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So did my father. But as far as what woman to look for and look out for, nah. Shamaria had that conversation with my parents. What kind of dude to look out for and this, that, and the other. But me, he'll figure it out. That one, he'll
be
all
the
right.
Conversation with your sister, because I mean everybody doesn't know who Shumaria is, so they had that conversation with your sister, but didn't have it with you.
Yep.
Okay.
I guess I figured I'd be all right. That's the excuse they gave me anyway. He'll be all right.
For me, it was a little different, but either way, it wasn't nothing. My parents were 17 and 19, and they got married. What the hell did they know about dating? So they're sitting talking to my brother. He's 4 years older. My brother, all you got to do is graduate from college, my brother. Then they're going to hand you a job, a wife, a dog, and 2 kids on a silver platter. And it was a damn lie. So went to the Army. They was out of control. Went back to HBCU. Thought there was wives floating around. And there's like, I don't see what the other reason we don't listen to the traditionalists. I don't see what the problem is. I just woke up one day and I was 20 and I was black and a wife came out and we got married. I bet it was like that in 1922. But it wasn't like that in 2001, 2005. No. So what they're even still talking, I don't know, because I ain't listening to that. Just no.
Okay. King, what did your mama tell you about women?
So that's a good question, and my mom actually might be watching. So I'm curious if I get this one right. From what I can recall, right, she never really meddled or said anything about the people that I brought around. Or
you better lie, bro. You better lie.
No. She now what she did say is that she didn't want me dealing with anybody that was crazy, but she never really said what she meant by that. But one time she told me, don't bring that girl by my house. I don't like her. She's cray cray. And that was like the only time that she really meddled in anybody who I was talking with. But she never really explained what she meant or why. And I also never really asked her why. She just said, don't be messing with anybody crazy. But other than that, she ain't really meddle.
Okay. Sean, did you go?
No, I was saying, so did it take to after y'all got divorced, King, to understand what your mother meant?
Um,
I'm just messing with you.
no, no,
I was gonna say,
no,
what you wasn't talking about the ex-wife, right?
no,
I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing
no.
with
She wasn't talking about the other. I mean, but really, to answer your question, it took me after my divorce to really realize what a crazy woman was. I dealt with one. I had to get my number changed because of one. My childhood phone number for somebody who I wasn't even dating. Really, I had to get my number changed because I messed around or I got connected with somebody who was crazy, and that could have changed my whole trajectory.
Okay.
Wow. Wow.
Sean,
I
what
don't
did your
recall.
mother tell you
I've
about
talked
women?
about that very publicly. Hey man, I had to go to the cops and everything. It was not fun.
I don't recall what my mother told me. A lot of times, my mother was biased to women, and I learned later on because she kind of had an indirect or subconscious um, uh, lack of respect for men. So, although she raised two sons that were actually doing good by some women, as soon as something would go wrong, she would almost side with the woman without question, without even, not even consciously. I don't think she was siding. She would just be like, "Well, you got to hear her out, or you got to understand her." And I'm like, "Yo, what are you talking about? I got to understand her. This is some nonsense. You know it's nonsense, like know it's nonsense. But instead of telling her it's nonsense, you telling me I got to understand." So it was kind of.
So she wasn't having a hot, honest, open, and transparent conversation with you in regards to this woman. She was pretty much saying you need to change your ways and hear
Not
her.
specifically. She wasn't saying asking me to change my ways. She was asking me to sympathize for the bull.
Okay.
And I was like, nah, I'm not. Oh, she's young. Whatever the case might have been for the sympathy, I just wasn't trying to hear the sympathetic role. I'm like, yo, nah, this is some like earlier what we was talking about. And maybe that's why, wow, scam. That's been why I was triggered when you was doing it. It's because I always had that like, yo, but you gotta understand her point of view. And I'm like, nah, that's some BS.
Full circle.
Ah,
Full circle moment right
that's
there.
crazy. Yeah, so
Wow.
I'm actually recognizing that now, but that might be why I'm sensitive to that issues because I had that during my upbringing. It's like you got to understand, and yeah, I know, but like what we said earlier, she might be ratchet. I'm like, no, she is. What do you mean she might be? You know it like I know it. She's dead wrong. She's all of those things that I'm saying, but you acting like I'm crazy. It's kind of what I went through.
Yeah, I got burnt too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Hank, did you go? What did your mom tell you about women?
Uh, don't bring none of them titty pinks home.
That's hilarious.
Wait, what?
Don't bring no other complexion is what he was saying.
Them white women. Don't bring them white women home.
Oh, the white woman. Okay, got you.
That was about it.
That was it. That was the.
That was about the gist of the conversation with her. Yeah. Yes,
Gotcha.
ma'am. That was it.
Yeah, I think it's important, those conversations that our parents have with us in regards to the same sex. Like he was saying, your dad can tell you about men. Like my dad sat me down and told me about men, but my mom can also tell me about women. She can also be the example of a woman that I should, emulate and not only be myself, but also they say the older women are supposed to teach the younger woman. And so I had that older woman, which is my mom, teach me and be that example. But if you don't have those conversations with your children, they're never really going to know what to look out for or who to look out for, to know who's the enemy, to know who they shouldn't be talking to. Most times a woman, and it may not be the mother, it might be your cousin, it might be your aunt, it might be your grandmother that's like, that one right there, she it's something about that little girl. It's something about that little floozy. It's something about that little heifer. It's something about that little, like, they will tell you about other women. And I'm not quite sure if women have women like that in their life. And I mean without prejudice and without having a stink attitude. I mean, really tell you some things in love because they love you and they're your family, and they can see things that you necessarily can't see because you have your blinders on, because the love is real, but it's not right. Like the love is real. Don't, just because it feels real doesn't mean that it's right. And your mom or your aunt or your grandmother, they're usually the ones telling you that, and they do that with men too. They do that with the men in their family. Like, I don't know about that one. You might not. I don't know. I don't know if she is the right one for you. She's sneaky. She lies. So I think women really do have that the older women should have that eye where they can point you in the right direction. And if they're not, and if you don't get any direction, then you're really not going to know what to look out for, you know?
Well, what's interesting about what you're saying, it's not about getting the direction, it's about respecting and embracing the direction. Because we
Mhm.
often get it, but we don't often embrace it or respect it. And a lot of times it could be for a lot of different reasons. But I
Mhm.
will say this, that uh, in fairness, you don't want to get advice from somebody who's tainted or who's hurt as well. And that often is where we get advice from. We get advice from places of trauma or places of hurt and pain
Mhm.
and fear based advice. And that doesn't really serve us well.
Mhm.
And especially if it comes from somebody you love and trust, because when you realize that, yo, you might have blew a bad thing because you took the advice of somebody who just wasn't prepared to give advice yet in relationships. You now have failed, and now you lost trust in that person and lost the relationship.
Mhm.
Hey, this is kind of off topic, and Mama, if you listening, I love you, I really do. But while my mom gave solid advice, I can't co-sign on somebody being with my mom. Let me just I'm gonna say that being straight up about it. If a man were to come to me and say, "Man, I'm thinking about marrying your mama," I'd be like, "Bro, don't do it. Don't do it. She's married now. I love the person that she's with because she's able to deal with the stuff that she has going on. Mama, I'm sorry, but we being hot over here."
Wow. Wow. Okay.
I ain't even gonna ask no questions. Don't ask no questions. Okay. We're not gonna ask no
Mama,
questions,
we
but
love you
we
too.
appreciate you for
Yeah.
sharing that. We appreciate you for sharing that bit of information. um,
Next
I
week, can you let
think
us know how this turns out, King? Because I don't think it's going to turn out too well.
Hey, she ain't called me yet, but she'll see it.
um I think I'm going to split this up into two parts. I think I'm going to do a part 2 next week, and we're going to get into the reasons why I was going to say Hank chose Delilah, but Samson chose Delilah. We're going to get into the reasons why he chose Delilah, because I have another clip that I want to play with it. And so since we're kind of on the short end of this clip, that clip will fall right in and it won't be as long. Um, but we're definitely going to pick back up next Monday with this conversation. So, guys, definitely come back. All those, I appreciate all those who have joined. We had some people joining from, I think, Hank's channel, King's channel. I don't know if anybody else has anyone watching, but I definitely appreciate you guys coming over here to join in on the conversation. The chat has been fired tonight, so I appreciate you guys. If you haven't made a decision, if you like or dislike, try and do that now. You can like or dislike. It don't matter to me. If you're watching this at a later time and you're not live, definitely hit the like or dislike button. I appreciate everyone who has definitely had a say in the conversation. But next week we're going to dive into why he chose Delilah, because again, I think that a lot of times men and women, because this is not just a men's topic, but he chose to speak to the men in the month of June, and next week is actually the women's when he'll be speaking to the women. But a lot of times we as people get the right needs met by the wrong people. But we need to get down to the nitty gritty of why, like he was saying, we can talk about, reasonings and we can prescribe a fix for a symptom, but we're not really curing the sickness. And so we have to get down to why is there a sickness and not necessarily just curing symptoms every time a symptom may come up, because symptoms are temporary, but the sickness is what stays. And so we got to get rid of the sickness so we don't have the symptoms. So we're going to talk about that next week. Again, I do appreciate you guys because we'll be on here for another 2 hours. And I do want to respect my time as well as you guys' time. So next week, Monday, we'll be back again at 9:00 p.m. Eastern. I will be dropping the link for those who want to join. And then, of course, my regular guys that join us and definitely hold us down over here on Men's Panel, Hank, Scam Likely, Mandrell, Sean, I appreciate you guys. And of course, King Smith, he's been rocking with me since day one. So I really do appreciate you guys. But just to let you guys know, tonight was sponsored by jecreativehosting.com. So if you guys are looking for a new website and you need a place to host that website, definitely go to jecreativehosting.com. And there's also a discount code of HCM22 where you guys can get a special discount for watching this evening. But until next week, y'all know what I say, okay? Keep it real with yourself so you can keep it real with others. All right, y'all. Until next time, I'll see y'all next Monday at 9:00 p.m. Eastern. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Good night. Good night.
All righty.